What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about some licensed wrestling theme songs. Let's check it. Entrance themes in wrestling has been a staple of the character's gimmick since as early as the 1950s and can be traced back to Gorgeous George and Mildred Burke. In today's day, it's unfathomable to even think that a wrestler would enter the ring without even having a song to back them up as they came down the ramp. But most of the theme songs can be credited to hired composers in the organizations themselves. Guys like Jim Johnston, who's composed dozens, if not hundreds, of theme songs over the years, including everyone from The Ultimate Warrior and Jake the Snake Roberts to The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. But today we're not going to talk about that. We're talking about licensed theme songs, ones written by bands that have then taken on a life of themselves for the wrestler's persona and has went on to be part of the wrestler's gimmick. Why are we talking about this? Well, for one, I am a huge wrestling fan. At least I was up until the roster split. Basically, after the Attitude Era, I kind of fell off and I really didn't care. Impact really didn't have an impact on me. AEW's kind of having a cool revival, but I'm really kind of stuck in the Attitude Era of things. And second, there are a whole ton of licensed songs that have been used over the years to create cool gimmicks for wrestlers. So in no particular order, without further ado, let's get into it. First up, we got Triple H's The Game from Motorhead. If you've watched wrestling for at least the last 20 years, I want to say, Triple H has had this as his theme song. Sometime in the year 2000, he donned this theme song during the infamous McMahon-Helmsley era. The song was performed by Motorhead and was actually written by the aforementioned Jim Johnston, who asked Motorhead to record the song and for Lemmy to do vocals on it, and it was Triple H's entrance and still is to this day. The band even performed the song on April 1st, 2001 at WrestleMania 17 in Houston, Texas, and again at WrestleMania 21 on April 3rd, 2005 in LA. The song is still used, like I said, by The Game this day. Another side note is there was also Motorhead also recorded the Evolution Stable theme song that was also written by Jim Johnston, and Motorhead went on to sing that and play that as well. Next up has to be Pantera's Walk. This is for none other than the whole effing show, Rob Van Dam, throughout his entire ECW career. RVD's theme song was none other than Pantera's Walk, other than the brief time he used it, some previous song in IFW before he came to ECW. RVD went on to tell Metal Injection that he chose the song while driving and hearing a Rob Zombie commercial on the radio, and they were performing Pantera's Walk at the time. He liked the whole respect chant, and since he was to rival with Sabu and face him in a matter of respect match, it all seemed to organically snap into place. The band Breaking Point went on to write a variation of the song for his WWE debut with the track One of a Kind, but RVD himself says that he'll always love Pantera version the most. Next up is Victoria with Tattoos, All the Things She Said. During her early years in the WWE, Victoria used none other than Tattoos, All the Things She Said from the band's 2002 album, 200 km in the Wrong Lane. During the time using the song, Victoria even got to meet and interview Tattoo in the WWE world in New York about the band's name, the meaning, and the subject of the song, which is, I'll link that up below in an interview. And Lisa Marie Varon, who does play Victoria, went on to say that that is her favorite theme song of all time. Even though that WWE has a license to the Victoria name, she wishes she could take the Tattoo song and move it to the other companies that she has then since worked with. The Generation X and Run DMC. For the longest time, and I bet you don't even know this up until right now, is that Rage Against the Machine did not write the original DX theme, but everyone has thought that. So last, while researching this, I found that out in my own case. The song was actually performed by Chris Warren, who has the same signature sounding voice as Rage Against the Machine frontman, who sadly passed away in 2016, and the song was also composed by none other than the before mentioned Jim Johnston. However, DX did have a revival at a slight time after the Attitude Era, still while the Attitude Era was kind of going on. It was kind of like after X-Pac left the group, and I think Billy Gunn wasn't around all that much. But K-Quick was in the WWE with Road Dogg, and they had a tag team together. And none other than Run DMC stepped up to do a full-fledged remix of the song, which still donned the backing track to the original DX theme song. but has since not been used and has gone back to the original Chris Warren, Jim Johnson song. Hulk Hogan and Jimi Hendrix. Most memorably known, Hulk Hogan has come to the ring with his I Am a Real American theme song from the early 90s from the WWF, WWE Golden Era. Hogan had a bit of a gimmick switch up when he signed on to WCW and turned heel and joined the NWO, which gave him the Hollywood Hulk Hogan gimmick. And then and the Jimi Hendrix song Voodoo Child was his theme song all throughout his WCW reign. But then when the WWE acquired the WCW and the ECW rights in 2005, which saw Hogan's return to the WWE with his faction group, the NWO, from the WCW, the song also stuck throughout his red and yellow Hollywood Hulk Hogan era, all the way up until his recent retirement. The Sandman from ECW, Metallica's Enter Sandman. ECW was one of my favorite wrestling organizations due to their sheer brutality and ability to just not give a shit. The company really pushed the boundaries and set a bar that a lot of the other major companies like WCW and the WWF at the time, WWE, strived for, which I think really sparked the idea for the Attitude Era. The company had a slew of characters who have since went on to AEW, WWE, Impact Wrestling, but got their humble beginnings beating the shit out of each other with barbed wire bats and putting each other through flaming tables. One of these guys was a character known as the Sandman, who originally got his start as Mr. Sandman in 1992 under the surfer kind of gimmick name. Like all wrestlers, though, he went through a kind of character development for the better, where he basically became this chain-smoking alcoholic that used to beat the shit out of someone with a Singapore cane. His theme music was none other than Metallica's Enter Sandman from their self-titled album in 1991. Sandman would go on to use this song all throughout his indie career and whatever wasn't televised. The problem was Metallica really wanted paid, and they really didn't want him using the theme song if they weren't getting paid. However, Paul Heyman, the guy who ran ECW, would either pay the rights to use the track for live tapings or would cut to Sandman already being into the ring during pay-per-views and whatnot. However, during the 2005 Ecw One Night Stand, when the WWE bought the rights to both ECW and WCW, as I previously said, one of the stipulations for the night was for WWE to pay the rights for Sandman to use the theme song on the live televised pay-per-view. And they did. There's a dub version on the WWE Network and anywhere you can find it on the DVDs and that kind of stuff. But if you come across the unedited version, it's pretty amazing. I suggest checking around on YouTube and Vimeo, however you say it. Next up is Ruby Soho from AEW, Ruby Soho by Rancid. Ruby Soho, formerly known as Ruby Riott while she had a run in the WWE, recently made her AEW debut on September 5th, 2021 during the Women's Casino Battle Royale match. She was the Joker card during it. Her gimmick, however, in AEW and the WWE was both punk-inspired, which is where her name and the theme song both came from, legendary punk band Rancid from their 1994 album, And Out Come the Wolves. The band graciously gave Ruby the rights to the song, and on a side note, Lars Frederiksen of Rancid is a huge wrestling fanatic, even been known to collecting action figures as well as watching Sports Entertainment Live. If you look on his Instagram, there's pictures of him with CM Punk and him collecting action figures. Speaking of CM Punk, Cult of Personality by Living Colour. Originally written on Living Colour's debut album in 1988. Holy shit, that's as old as me. The album Vivid, by the way. Cult of Personality has been the theme song for CM Punk since his time in the indie circuit, all the way through Ring of Honor, the WWE, AEW, and even his brief stint in the UFC. The band also performed the song live as Punk's entrance during WrestleMania 29 in New Jersey on April 7th, 2013. CM Punk recently signed AEW, and as was previously mentioned, still uses Cult of Personality as his theme song to this day. Next up is The Undertaker with Limp Bizkit's Rollin' / Kid Rock's American Badass. Anyway, Mark William Calloway, best known as The Undertaker, has had one hell of a wrestling career, especially since his start in 1990, during the then-known WWF as The Undertaker, where he was the dead man. That's pretty much been his gimmick as an actual Undertaker, a dead person, for this entire time. and throughout kind of rebranding himself here and there. But mostly the whole I'm coming back from the dead thing, which is like I need to go on vacation for a while and I'm going to come back with something else. Most memorably during this Attitude Era, as I've said before, Taker went through a lot of changes, especially when he debuted as the American Badass, where his theme song at the time was American Badass by Kid Rock. The song was used all the way up until mid-2001, where it was changed to Limp Bizkit's Rollin' from their album Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water. That was changed due to the copyrights running out to the song, and he wanted something a little bit more edgier. Anyway, Undertaker used the song all the way up until his heel turn when he came Big Evil. But before then, like a lot of others on this list, Limp Bizkit was so gracious to actually perform the song live, like they did during Taker's entrance on WrestleMania 19, which is on March 30th, 2003 in Seattle, Washington. Also, a little fun fact, a part of the stipulation for the song Rollin' to be on one of the WWE video games was that Fred Durst had to be a playable character, and he actually rolled out to the ring in a car, a convertible, singing that song. You could play as Fred Durst in a SmackDown game. Last but not least is Edge's Rob Zombie / After Bridge theme songs. The Rated R superstar Edge had a number of theme songs over the years, from his time in The Brood with his brother Christian and Gangrel with the vampire gimmick, to his You Think You Know Me theme, where he didn't come to the ring from the ramp. He used to pop out of the crowd and jump over the barrier and scare the hell out of everyone. With his big career push, Ed decided, hey, I need a character gimmick change. I'm going from a mid-card guy all the way to main event. So along with that, he also decided I need a new theme song, to which he originally suggested a Black Label Society song to WWE executives. They couldn't get the licensing to it, or they turned it down, and then they had someone write some song that was sort of like that, but he said it came off as a Big Show ripoff. If you've heard the Big Show's theme song, it sounded something like that, I guess. And he said it was kind of cringy. Shortly after, Rob Zombie's The Sinister Urge came out, and he chose the song Never Gonna Stop, since his character fit the whole coming back from an injury thing, which perfectly fit what was going on. However, the song ran out of licensing, like the same thing that happened with Kid Rock, and he said in an interview that Metal Ingus by Afterbridge, which is the other song, was never really his choice. After the copyrights rang out, he was forced back to the You Think You Can Know Me music, which he didn't like, until he met up with Mark Tremonti of Afterbridge, he's also the guitarist from Creed, if you didn't know. Mark played him the song Metal Ingus, and Edge really liked it, and to the point that he took it to WWE execs, and he asked Mark and the rest of the guys from Afterbridge, can I use this as my theme song? And they graciously said yes, and the rest is history. So that was it, guys. I know that I probably missed a ton of others. These were just some of my favorites. I try to pick a lot of rock songs. I know that The Undertaker also came out to Johnny Cash for a couple of times. Sting also had a copyright song. I don't remember what the hell it was. And the WWE as well has also used licensed music as bumpers over the years to either advertise Raw, SmackDown, some commercial, or a big event like a pay-per-view that's coming up. If you guys are wrestling fans out there, The Beautiful People by Marilyn Manson has been used. Bodies by Drowning Pool has definitely been overused over the years. Peter Gabriel's Big Time, with more recently everyone from Bring Me the Horizon and Poppy to Cardi B and The Weeknd using some of their songs for the theme songs for WWE pay-per-views. If you guys have any favorites, leave them down in the comments below. Also, let me know what your favorite wrestler is. Mine's definitely the whole effing show, RVD. And of course, the dead man, the Undertaker. I have like 5 or 6 giant bins of old school Hasbro WWF action figures from the 90s. And the old school bone crunching ones from the early 2000s. I need to pull out and do something with one day. Some of them are even in the box, like my limited edition Stomp Brian Pillman action figure. And I even have an Owen Hart still in the box with his warning labels on from his time in the Nation of Domination. Anyway, digressing. Let's roll the outro, guys. I'll check you later. Bye. Hey guys, we're at that part of the video where you should like and subscribe. And after the video is over, comment on some stuff. What did you like? What did you not like? What should I do next? Something like that. There's more to this channel than just the whole YouTube thing. I post daily blogs on thepoppunkdad.com, which features daily reviews and interviews from awesome bands from around the globe. Head on over to the Pop Punk Dad merch shop where you can find cool things like that right there. It helps the channel out and it lets me know that you love me. I have a weekly podcast called the Pop Punk Dadcast, which is on Spotify, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Please subscribe. And hey, while you're at it, after this video, cruise on around, and check out other content that tickles your fancy. Interviews with awesome bands, vlogs, cover songs, and more. You can check out all my socials, my IG, my FB, my Snapchat, and my Twitter at the Pop Punk Dad. And above all else, guys, stay pop punk. Later.